Adventure Being Comics, and I'm here to bring you yet another edition of this week's signed books. Edition 3. As I made mention in episode 1 and 2, now I had seen a lot of artists and creators in the past 2 weeks, roughly over 2 dozen. So to continue on with more books in which that I got signed and more stories in which that I got with those books, I'd like to go ahead and move on and, as you see in the title, talk about David Pepose. When I first met David, it was 2019, and he had just finished yet another edition of Spencer Locke and had just released Going to the Chapel. I was really fascinated with Going to the Chapel. It is not at all a styling of story that I would normally read into. The way it was told and how I was pulled into it was David pitched me at a local comic book shop on this story, and I instantly fell in love with it. I bought the book again. I was more immersed in the love for this title. And by the time I got to the last issue, I was thoroughly not only flabbergasted on how well the story was delivered and written and everything, but I soon found a new writer that I was really, really enjoying the formatting, the styling, the pacing of this writer. So I now found an individual that I was really, really enjoying. I'd like to acknowledge First Bleecker and K-Pop for hanging out with me at this time. So yeah, as I was developing, I guess, let's say, this fondness for this writer and the relationship in which that I was thoroughly enjoying his writing, I couldn't stop. So I was buying all kinds of stuff. And that being stated, he ended up writing more and more and more titles from more and more and more publishers. So stop milking this cow. Let's go ahead and get into some of the books in which that I got signed by David and get into the stories in which that I got from him as I was getting these books signed. Now, The Devil Wears My Face is actually one of my favorite titles to come from. I guess it's probably on par, if not nearly, with how well he had written Going to the Chapel. Truly, in my opinion, The Devil Wears My Face is one of the best titles that I have read this year. I would say this title right here, the other one in which I just finished, which was Bearded Kotick Bro and I were just talking about that. Patrick Horvath's Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, which I'll be talking about soon. That was another one that really thoroughly, I feel, is one of the solid titles that have come this year. So when I was talking to David about this title and telling him how much I was thoroughly enjoying it, he said that one of the things that he wanted to write was a book in which that he got to work together with Alex Cormack. So to me, this was a beautiful relationship, and as horrific as the story is, it's awesome, and I highly recommend it. So I got that signed by him, and David was kind enough to sign me a Moon Knight, Black, White, and Blood. Now, if you haven't read this one, his contribution to the Moon Knight story, the Black, the White, the Red anthology contributions that have been happening through the 1 through 4 and the volume of this miniseries, this was, in my opinion, one of the better. Now, of late, the big thing that he's been getting is all the accolades that he's been receiving from Ghost, right? Yeah, Space Ghost. I know I'm kind of everywhere because I'm going to be doing a lot of shows and I'm thinking about a lot of different things. I'm sorry. But really what I want to get at is how much David was taken back when I was talking about the story and how much I enjoyed it. And I even enjoyed the Ash Cans, which really was making me chomp on the bit for the release of Space Ghost issue number 1, was the fact that he was floored by how much reviews and how well it was being reviewed by so many different people that he'd never either one heard of and or two thought that really enjoyed his work. So when he was receiving these views, he soon was talking to me and a few other people that had the ability to obtain some numbers for him. He was curious on how well it was selling. Seriously, at the time of the signing event, he wanted to know. So when I end up having some stuff signed, I called a couple people, and my friend, which is an owner of a shop, called a few people. We ended up finding out that roughly over 60,000 books of Space Ghost was purchased. Seriously. So that's what allowed me to go ahead and get this Virgin variant, which is a non-glossy, non-foiled one. But then again, I got the foiled one. I had to. And we ended up fighting about these numbers. He was not only, again, like I said before, and I keep stressing, floored, but you could see it visually on how much he was appreciating and how much he was just taken back. And it was hard for him to process how well the title was going. I know it's hard to see, but damn, this goodness is so good. Good. Now, like I said, what it really lured me into the storyline, because I wasn't a huge Space Ghost fan of before. I do know the origins. I'm old, but I never really got into it because of how campy it was. To me, it was nothing more than like a filler and gap at its highest point and its biggest recognition when it was basically introducing a bunch of cartoons. I can't remember the network, but it might have been Cartoon Network. That being stated, what really pulled me into the story was when I ended up receiving this ash can, which I ended up buying too. So when I end up seeing this, receiving this, reading this, I end up falling in love with this, which is why I end up going basically all in on the Space Ghost. Highly recommend purchasing Space Ghost. Highly recommend reading it. If it's anything that you even remotely remember, it's going to be 10 times better. And that is everything that I got signed by David Pepose. I couldn't thank him more, and I couldn't appreciate the fact that he had taken the time out to tell me about all these things even more. And my gratitude to the actual shops, all the services in which that they're able to provide, along with all the artists and creators that were able to provide services for the attendees. I can't, it's hard for me to really truly express enough, because when you see all the smiles on the faces of all the kids and all the people that were kid at heart, it just, it's something that it's hard to convey. But then again, as you are in the community, I think you kind of understand. And that is truly it for me, Entropy, and I'll see you soon. Bye.